Like certain ships have like bad names. Like they call it like some of them have good names. Like they call it like the. Let me see. The Dialysis was the Mighty. No, the Dallas was the Big D because fucking it was a shitty ship. The Miami was the Mighty Miami. The let's see. The Pitt was the Pittsburgh. The Pitt wasn't that bad from what I heard.
Fluid crash.
Shit, there's Greedo.
So everyone is required to spend time on the ship initially?
Yep, everyone's required except for let's see, who don't go on ships? Corpsmen don't have to go to
How long were you with the Navy?
5 years, Carl. 5 years.
The Missouri is the Mo. Screw this modern day naming.
They call it the Misery. That's what the USS Missouri is. They call it the Misery because here's the whole reason why they call it the Misery. The Mighty Mo. They call it the Misery because it's a really the last ship that was named the Missouri was a famous battleship from not battleship. I think it was a carrier, famous carrier from World War II. And because the name's so famous, they get a lot of attention. Like a lot of they do ceremonies and stuff on board that ship all the time. And because of that, they're like constantly miserable, just because of it. Like I guess I get the.
Battleship.
There's a battleship? That's what I thought. I couldn't remember. Like I knew it was World War II, and I knew it was sunk. I just couldn't remember if it was a battleship or if it was a carrier. So they call it the USS Misery. At least that's the nickname around for all the other sailors.
Hey, Buck. The Japanese surrendered on Italy.
I don't remember. This is history I don't really remember.
Joined your game.
I couldn't remember if it was sunk. I just know it had a really famous name. Hey, Mike Elves. I couldn't remember. All I remembered is that because it's so famous, they're getting a lot of shit because of it. That's the same thing with the Dallas. Dallas's whole thing was the Tom Clancy novels making them famous. The Hunt for Red October, that's what made them famous. So because of that, they went from being famous to being infamous.
Representatives of Japan stand aboard USS Missouri prior to signing of the Instrument of Surrender.
Because of that, now they call it the Missouri because it's pretty miserable for some reason. Well, I say some reason, but I know why, because they're getting famous because of the name. So they do ceremonies and whatever else not. Usually when there's a lot of squadron on board your ship, you don't want them to be there because they nitpick everything that you do.
Battleship, you were right the first time. I think you're mixing up the ships. The Missouri was refitted and used for Desert Storm 2.
I was in Surface Sailor, so yeah, they did. They did also use it in the movie because there's not too many of those things left.
We just the state of Missouri misery, cause it sucks. I was stationed there. Call. LOL.
I don't really think there was any other names that were really bad. You know how, now that I think about it, you know how bad the Dallas was? So they have all the ships lined up on the pier. Okay, they have the squadron building, and then they have all the ships lined up on the pier. So usually you're in the good graces of the squadron when you are right in front of the squadron building. You know you're in the, no one likes you, the squadron hates your ass when you are the very final ship on the pier which is miles away from Squadron. Like there's several piers, and the Squadron build, like the last pier that you could possibly get put on is way out in the middle of nowhere, and it's about 2 mile walk from the barracks. And that's where the Dallas would always be put on. It would never be in front of the Squadron building. It would always be placed way out in the middle of nowhere. And I'm just dying. Like, that's where I remember the Dallas always being put. There was like 1 month where they were like put on the front of the Squadron building, but that's because they came back from deployment. But pretty much after that 1 month, they got put back right where they usually get put.
Were you a part of the carrier group?
Once we did like a 3-month part where I don't know, I think you consider it a sub part of the carrier group because they don't even know where we are. They just know we're in a gigantic circle around them.
What was put in front of the Squadron building usually?
Usually the Virginia, the Miami would be put into it in front of it usually. And usually any submarine that came back from deployment, those are usually the ones that are usually placed in front of the Squadron building. But when I got out, it was usually the Virginia and the, we were there for a couple months. So it's pretty much any particular.
The VA.
Yep, the VA. The Virginia is it's first of its class now, level. It's the newest Virginia class sub, so now it's like, you know. It's the newest one, so that's why. Damn it. I'm doing terrible. Oh well. I hate this map anyway.
Yeah, I know.
I stepped on board. I stepped on board the Virginia, and I was completely lost on board that ship. I have no idea how those, like their control rooms in the middle level instead of on the top level now. And they use this crazy fiber optic periscope, so they can see in like a 360 view. Like they're not confined to a periscope, like a scope. They see a bunch of TV screens. It's really weird. Like, and their control room's in the middle of it, and on the middle level instead of the upper level, like the Los Angeles class and a BN class are. Usually the control rooms in the middle, not in the middle, in the upper level. So it's just a little weird. I got lost on board it. If you like Star Wars and you want to get the 2 weeks early access on the DLC, it is Mike Elvis, and it saves you $10.
Okay, thanks.
Yep. Damn it. Took too much risk there. Oh well. Nope, E3 VJ Jordan. Dang it, I keep missing with those. Colin Francis, thanks for follow. Ah, dang it.
What's your fast gun?
The
They
E3.
costed as much as the Truman. Seems they need to recenter their battle group. LOL.
Those things are expensive. The new being, I mean the new fast attacks. Those are expensive ass submarines. When I first saw the Virginia, their sonar hull plating got ripped off because they were doing speed testing. I remember they said something about, like, I guess they didn't install it properly, so that's why, but I don't know. That's what they told the news. For all I know, the damn thing went so fast they just didn't expect it to go that fast.
Says it cost $6 billion in 2011.
There was a lot of problems, Level. One of the problems I remember, they couldn't replace the parts fast enough because the ship is so new. They had a really big issue replacing parts. So if something broke on those things, it took them a while. They had to manufacture new parts. Like, they couldn't just, it wasn't like, you know, it wasn't like the Los Angeles class where they already had multiple parts already at hand and they could just rip and renew from other ships. They had to manufacture new ones all the time, and I ain't gonna lie, the manufacturing companies rip off the Navy as much as they can. So a lot of that price is just the manufacturers being assholes. To give you an example, there's a mouse in sonar that's worth $20,000, and all it is a rollerball and fucking a left and right click level. It's a rollerball mouse, big gigantic rollerball, $20,000. The manufacturers are screwing the Navy as hard as they possibly can.
No way they don't rip off the Navy. Not possible.
Yeah, yes they do. I remember the nukes telling me there's a story about like one of their supply parts. It makes no fucking sense. There's these bolts. I don't know how it got through, but they got the Navy to sign a contract for these particular bolts, and they cost, I think they told me it was about $400 to $500 a pop, just for bolts. And they tried to, somehow they convinced it. Oh, okay, I got you. But they have these bolts, and they're specific for the reactor or something like that. There's just bolts, and from what I was told by the nukes, they're just steel. There's regular old steel bolts, and they somehow get the Navy to pay $500 a pop for just one of them. I have no idea. So there's like an example of the Navy getting screwed by manufacturers. So a lot of the price, I want to say, is just inflated.
How much is the aiming keyboard?
Who knows?
Okay, gotta work and get fly for this interview. Wish me luck.
Alright, later, man. Panda. Good luck. Hopefully, you get what you want. Oh, there we go. Haha. I like elves. Emotes.
It will all be clear afterwards, Manda. You're good, man. Little puff.
There we go. Thanks, Icy Wind.